Welcome to NOBS Fantasy Football, and more importantly, welcome to the Fantasy Football Playoffs. This is what we've been working for all season long. The hours of draft prep, the waiver ads, the trades, everything has come to this moment. And this video is going to help you get a win in this first week of playoffs with the waiver ads you need to add for your team, or the waiver ads you need to add to block your opponents who may have lost key players to injury in week 14. We've got a player for every position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, and defense. And then we're going to close out the video with the drop strategy, because it definitely changes a little bit once we get in the fantasy football playoffs, which players you should drop in order to make room for these ads. And if you've got a specific question for your team, drop it down in the comment section. If you're subscribed, I will prioritize answering your questions. So make sure you hit that subscribe, like the video. Let's get started with the quarterbacks. We've got 3 quarterbacks to cover today, and the first is Justin Fields. And for every waiver ad, we're going to try to include a special stat, a certain thing that sets them apart from the other waiver ads or quarterbacks you may have in your starting lineup. And the first is Justin Fields. We saw Tyrod Taylor go down with an injury in week 14. Most likely, Justin Fields, who was inactive due to knee soreness, will step up and become the starter. And I want to point out, when he faced an easy matchup, he's been pretty great this season against the Steelers in week 1, Miami, Dallas in week 4 and 5. He did well against Cincinnati. He did well against the Patriots, and this week he's got one of the more favorable matchups against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's going to have to use his legs. He's going to have to pass, but Mitchell and Mechie have been stepping up in the wide receiver room. So I do like what Justin Fields can bring to the table from a rushing upside. And again, that special stat, he's looked pretty great. Top 12 pretty much every time he's faced an easier matchup. Our second quarterback is Tyler Shuck, who scored 2 rushing touchdowns this week with 55 rush yards. Love to see that. But the thing I want to point out specifically for him is that he does have a tough matchup, but he's already played them this season in week 10, where he scored 19 fantasy points and was a top 12 quarterback. So I do like this off the waiver wire. Again, it's not going to instill major confidence. I'd much rather have someone like Josh Allen or Drake May, but if you need someone off the waiver wire, this is another guy with rushing upside who can help you get a win. And Shedeur Sanders. I don't have a lot of special stats for him specifically, because this was his first real breakout performance against the Titans. He added in some rushing. He was great in the pass game. Looked like he had some great touch on some of his passes, specifically the touchdown to Harold Fannin Jr. That was amazing quarterback play. Weirdness on the 2-point conversions. I don't know what you guys thought, but I also agreed with pretty much everybody. He should have at least been out there for those 2-point conversions, whether they want to do some trickery, they want to give it to Judkins. I don't care. Shedeur should have been on the field, but we see he's got a great matchup in week 15 against the Bears. They've been extremely weak against quarterbacks, and he just dropped 34.5 points. So if you're facing the juggernaut in your league, maybe he can bring the upside. I do still like Justin Fields a little bit better, because we saw with Justin Fields that he's brought great consistency against easy matchups. But if someone's been holding him in their IR spot or on their bench, Shedeur Sanders is available in over 80% of leagues, and you never know, he could bring you another great performance in week 15. If you use the timestamps and skip to the running backs, this is one of our strategy ads, Jalen Wright, available in 98% of leagues. A must add for 2 reasons. Number 1, if Achane misses this game, he could be a quality start for your team. But number 2, if Achane is on your opponent's team, I bet a lot of Achane owners are in the playoffs in your league. You do not want them to have Jalen Wright, because the Dolphins play the Steelers on Monday Night Football. That means that Achane, he could be a game time decision. If you let your opponent grab Jalen Wright, they're going to be able to wait and see which one starts, and whoever starts will be a solid start for their team. But if you can steal Jalen Wright from them so they do not have a backup option if Achane misses, they may not be able to wait around for Achane on Monday Night Football. And if they do wait and he misses the game, that will be a 0 in their starting lineup. That's a huge advantage for your team. So do not let anyone in your league who has Achane get Jalen Wright. The other ad, it's a lot more simple. It's Blake Corum. We talked about him last week as well. That's one of the reasons you want to be subscribed, because a lot more people are competing for this guy this week. But he had another great performance, RB3, 2 touchdowns. The problem, 2 problems here. I do want to point out that he does not have a lot of carries in these games. Check out these rush attempts: 8, 7, 7, 12. The snap share, the rush share, 33%. It's really not that strong. So if he does not have the big play, he's going to be really disappointing, like he was for the vast majority of the season. These last 2 weeks against some easier matchups, I will point out, he's been really good. This week, extremely difficult matchup against Detroit. So I'm not saying you want to start him this week, but I would add him as someone that's available in 50% of leagues. That does bring some upside, especially if Kyron Williams ever got injured. Jumping to the wide receivers, we have another strategy ad. So if you jumped here in the timestamps, go check out the running backs because there's a strategy ad there as well. You do not want your opponents to get, even if you do not need a running back. But right here for the wide receivers, Ryan Flournoy is a must add. If your opponent has CeeDee Lamb, or you need a wide receiver, because if CeeDee Lamb doesn't clear concussion protocol, your opponent has a get out of jail free card with Ryan Flournoy. He had 13 targets. He's going to be amazing if Lamb is out. I know they do have a tough matchup this week against Minnesota, but he had such a great game against the Lions that he would still be a solid start. Plus this game, it's Sunday night. If for some reason, I don't think he will be, but a CeeDee Lamb was a game time decision, your opponent having Flournoy and Lamb allows them to wait. If they do not have Flournoy and CeeDee Lamb is a game time decision, they may not have another option and be forced to bench Lamb no matter what in order to not take a 0 if he doesn't play Sunday night. The other wide receiver who looks like an interesting option is Pat Bryant. We've seen him start to grow throughout the season. He looked pretty solid in week 14 as well. Week 15, they play Green Bay. Extremely tough matchup, so I'm not thinking we're going to be playing him there, but he is someone that continues to grow in this offense and may be startable week 16 or week 17 against some of the easier matchups. At tight end, we've got two options. We got a safe option, that's going to be Colby Parkinson, and we got a risk-reward option we'll get to in a second. Then our defense and kickers you need to add for week 15, then our drop strategy. But let's start here with Colby Parkinson. He's been scoring a touchdown 4 out of the last 5 weeks. This team continually scores so many touchdowns. They have so many people to cover, including Devonta Adams, who's been absolutely dominating in the red zone. Parkinson has been able to take advantage of that focus and score some touchdowns as well. And you can see he has some good targets here. 4 catches, 4 catches, 4 catches, 3 catches. Not too bad for a tight end, especially when they're red zone targets. He's got the good matchup against Detroit in week 15. Now, it's not a great matchup for tight ends, but it is a game that could be high scoring. And that's exactly what he needs in order to have the best shot to score a touchdown, is those high scoring games. And we don't need him to have success anywhere else in the field but in the red zone like he's been having lately. So if you're looking for someone that's a little bit safer, someone that has been scoring a touchdown each and every week, Colby Parkinson could be the guy for you. But the tight end I like even better is Theo Johnson. You can see most games in here, he's got at least 3 receptions. That's a solid floor. He has big playability. You can see 75 yards, 77 yards on 3 catches in this game. He scored a few touchdowns this year as well, and he has an amazing matchup against the Commanders. They are just not good against the tight end position. Theo Johnson, a lot of people dropped him because he was on bye. I think he's the must-add tight end if you are hurting at that position. We're going to move through the kicker and the defense pretty quickly, but the kicker is Eddie Pinheiro. He is supposed to come back week 15 against the Titans. Huge opportunity with San Francisco coming off the bye. They're going to be fresh, ready to go, destroy that defense, and have plenty of kicking opportunities. So a great ad off the waiver wire that's available in pretty much every league. If you need a defense and you don't already have one stashed like the Texans or the Eagles, go for the Jaguars. And I know I talked about Justin Fields earlier in this video, but if he rushes for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns, that still means the Jaguars can have an amazing game on defense. You can see they've been doing a great job in the sacks department, in the fumbles department, in the interceptions department. They're forcing turnovers all different kinds of ways. They're even scoring some touchdowns. They have a good special teams unit as well. So the Jaguars, if you don't have a top defense, I'm not too worried about the Jets putting up huge points, even though I still think Justin Fields could be a quality streamer at quarterback. Now for the drop strategy. What players can you drop? Who can't you drop? Well, there's a specific strategy we can use, specific criteria once we're in the fantasy football playoffs. And other pages, guys, just don't talk about this strategy. So make sure you subscribe, have those notifications on. And if you have questions about your team specifically, drop them down in the comments because subscribers, I will be prioritizing your questions first. And the first criteria to look for is, will this player help my team this week? Your bench, whether it's 5, 7 players, majority of those players we do not need to hold. They will not be helping us this week, which means they meet the first criteria that we could drop them if we needed to add somebody else, like a Jalen Wright to block an opponent, like a Ryan Flournoy. If we wanted to add a tight end, we would have somebody on injury. We need to drop the players, or we can drop the players who will not be helping us this week. But the second criteria takes a little bit more research, and it's, would my opponent want to pick this player up and start them against me? If you have a tight end that you want to drop to add somebody else, but your opponent's tight end is so bad, the rest of the roster is solid, that's how they made playoffs, but their tight end is so bad, they might add the tight end you dropped, you may not want to drop that player, and we want to drop a position that they're stronger at, even if that's a better player than the tight end. Like if they're really strong at running back, you may be able to drop a running back, even though they're better than the tight end, because the tight end you drop, they would start on their team. So make sure that you don't need them, but also make sure your opponent doesn't need them. And as long as that's true, you can drop them in order to add players that will actually help you this week. Next video will be an in-depth start and sit for week 15, including my take of the week, which we absolutely nailed in week 14. So make sure you check it out.